It's Kentucky Sports Radio on Talk Radio 1080. Now here's Matt Jones.
Welcome, everyone. Kentucky Sports Radio, Monday, December the 23rd. I am Matt Jones. Give us a shout on our good friends, the Fan Outfitters Hotline, 502-571-1080, 877-904-1080, at KY Sports Radio. The show thread creeping along this morning. We got it up a little bit late, but it's on there now. No Dr. Sayre or UKJB is not first for maybe the first time in the history of the thread. It's probably been 2 years since one of those guys has not been first on the show thread. But today, Trey beat them. It went up a little late, probably threw off the normal guys, and so they're not. It's an exciting day just from that, an end of an era there for Dr. Sayre and UKJB.
Kind of sad when you think that the number one have been knocked off.
Goes off a little bit late, and then they weren't there. 502-571-1080. This edition sponsored by the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife. Today a big interview, Ryan. Matt Elam, maybe the biggest football recruit along with Drew Barker in years.
Literally and figuratively. He's going to come on the show at 10:30, do an interview with us about his UK versus Alabama decision. I'm very excited to hear what he has to say. He's making his decision on the 4th of January. I don't know if he's done another radio interview. I don't think so, but I could be wrong. But either way, with 2 weeks to go, right before Christmas, he's now out of school. Be interesting to hear what he has to say. And like Larry Vaught just told me, you'd think him coming on a Kentucky sports show is not. I think that speaks volumes. I don't think he's doing any Alabama sports talk shows.
Well, they may not have asked. I mean, I don't want to. Let's not get everybody too.
Oh, I'm excited.
I mean, they may not have asked. We don't know, but either way, he'll be on at 10:30. I'm very much looking forward to that. We're going to talk about UK Belmont, what happened there. We're going to talk about getting ready for Louisville, of course. You know, Thursday and Friday are going to be nutty shows around here because with the Louisville game 2 days away, I'm going to be talking a lot of trash. Right now, I'm in the Christmas spirit. So there's no reason to talk trash, but just wait till Thursday and Friday. And Friday, by the way, is going to be a scene. All right, so just so you know, if you're in the Louisville area, even if you're not, Thursday we'll be doing the show at Fan Outfitters. Shannon, I still don't know which one it is. Is it at the Summit or is it the one on Shelbyville Road?
I don't know, but I'll find out for you.
See if you can find out before the show's over. That's Thursday. But then Friday, we're at Beer Nose in Jeffersonville, Indiana. Always one of our biggest shows, and we're giving away UK Louisville tickets to somebody in the building. A lot of people are able to get off work that Friday and come. It's usually a great show. Kentucky fans in Indiana, so we look forward to that as well.
Every time we go to Beer Nose, it's a good crowd. The fact now it's on the heels of the Louisville game, I think it'll be crazy on Friday.
I hope that's right. So we're going to get to all that. Two quick things, though, to get started. Number one, my planner. Right? My planner
Your
book.
Bible.
This is where I write down what we're going to talk about, the 12 topics, all that. I've got my schedule. Now this is the end of the year, so the planner, it's almost time to get a new one. I screwed up this morning.
You didn't bring it?
Well, no. I filled it out. I had like 15 topics I wanted to get to. But, I'm going home for Christmas, so I was packing my car and all that. Set the planner on top of my car.
No way.
Drove off.
Oh, no.
So the planner, I'm like, and I realize it when I get to like Waddy, okay, on 64, and I go, no, my planner. And at that moment, a woman calls me. I guess my number must be in there somewhere, although I don't remember where I would have put it. But either way, she calls me, and she's at a laundromat on Bardstown Road, Ryan, 6 blocks from where I drove. All right, so I don't know how it got where she is, but she found it in the middle of the road. She saw it, went outside and got it, called me and said she was going to keep it. How nice is that, by the way?
That's the Christmas spirit at its best.
That really is. And literally, she called seconds after I figured it out. And she said, now, it looks kind of rough because it was in the middle of Bardstown Road. But that's very nice of her to have found it. So, but it's the end of the year, so I usually keep those. Like I've got one from the last 5 years. I can always look back and see what I was doing on a date, etc. So anyway,
well, you treat this like I call it your Bible because you almost feel
naked without it.
Well, this will be a show without it. I think we have enough to do that I can be all right without it, but I don't know. So I may need people's help. This will be a different audience as well because a lot of folks aren't working today. This building's empty except you and I. A lot of folks aren't working, so that means people who listen at their desk may not be hearing, but then there are people who aren't working who may be listening live who don't get to hear very much.
People in from out of town for the holidays.
Right. And Shannon, by the way, the podcasts are supposed to be fixed today.
Hallelujah. Glorious.
So we should have at some point today Thursday show, Friday show, the post-game show, and this show all going up today at some point during the day. So hopefully that's good news. Ryan, I do want to start with, we're going to talk about the game and all that, but I think I have to start because, I like to talk about myself. I think I have to talk about, yesterday the Herald Leader ran the story about KSR.
Just a little blurb. They didn't write too much.
And me. And let me start with this. Two important things to start with. Number one, if you haven't read it, it's on Kentucky.com. It all day yesterday was the most read story on there. I think it's like first or second today. So they certainly got the hits out of it.
Yes.
But two things. One, let me start by saying it was generally, I thought, fair. Okay, I mean, there's some things, and I'll mention in a minute, that I quibble with. But in general, I thought it was fair. Tom Eblin, who wrote it, I don't think crushed me. I think he gave me a fair shot. It's his story, so I can't, he can kind of write what he wants. And I generally thought it was fair. So that's good. I was worried, I was worried my mom was going to read it, and she'd be sad and I don't think that happened. And so that was good. And then yesterday, the newspaper, while the newspapers aren't what they once were, there still is something about being in the newspaper.
Yes.
And I will tell you, being on the front page of the Sunday paper, as sort of much as I make fun of newspapers, it was still cool. I'm not going to lie to you. It still was cool. It's still cool to sort of see that. It was an honor for that. I mean, regardless of what they wrote, to be in that situation was very cool. I'm not going to lie to you. And I didn't realize it really until this morning when I got to finally see the hard copy, because I'd only seen it online. And, you see it, and it's there, and then it's like it's 2 full pages.
Yes.
I mean, that was, Ryan, pretty cool.
It is kind of a badge of honor to be on the front of your local newspaper, where you live in Middlesboro or Pineville or wherever. But the thing about the article, I think it was very fair to kind of talk about the volcanic rise of KSR and you from where it started to today. I think he had to tell parts of that story, and I think he did a good job about it. I wish he would have harped more on some of the better points of what KSR stands for.
Well, we had not been in the we've been doing this for 8 years and never been in the paper. So, I mean, I think it was time for them to say something about us. And to put it in the Sunday thing, they clearly...
It's true. Their most read paper is always the Sunday paper.
Yeah.
And to be on the front page of the Sunday paper, I think, says a lot.
Here's my only complaint. There are actually 2 complaints. Number one, I quibble with one thing he said factually. He said at some point in there that I had been vulgar about other journalists on social media. I don't believe that's true. I mean, I make fun of people. I poke at people. Maybe we have different notions of what vulgar is, but I'm not a vulgar person. Okay, I don't say vulgar things about people. At least I try not to. I don't believe I get personal. Some people believe, like, if I make fun of Kyle Tucker's hair, that's personal. Maybe it is. I don't know. But I don't think I say anything vulgar. And when he put that in there, that bothered me a little bit, because I would suggest to you, you'd have to struggle to find me being vulgar about someone, certainly on social media. I'm not going to say in 8 years on the website we didn't say something. But I just don't. I don't know that I've been. He sort of acted like I've just been vulgar left and right. I'm not a vulgar person. Now, I've had writers who probably have done that, but I don't approve of that. But I can't control their Facebooks and Twitters. But I don't think I've been vulgar.
The fact that you are the leader of KSR, if one of the KSR folks did that, it still falls under your umbrella.
No, I understand that, and I get that. But that's part of it. Now, my one quibble with the thing is, there's a lot in there about fighting with journalists and copyrights and all that. And I understand that, but to me, that's like a part of this.
Yes.
But journalists care about that a lot more than the general public. Okay, they care because they're journalists. And I think part of this article showcases why KSR is successful. Half of this article is about stuff that really only journalists care about. You know, pictures and all that. Like, right. Journalists really care about that. The general public doesn't, and there's a disconnect there. And that's partially, that article sort of showcases you're focusing on stuff that I think the general public, I mean, they want to know, but they don't care, okay? I wish there had been more about our relationship with fans. For better or worse, our relationship with fans is the reason we exist. I make some fans mad. I make some fans happy, okay? But the fans are why we exist. You know, UK fans, we have connected pro and con with. I think you probably should have put some more about how I make the U of L fans mad. I think, again, people care less about me making Kyle Tucker mad than they care about me making U of L fans mad. They like that. And the U of L fans really don't like that. But, you know, this radio show is number one in Lexington and Louisville. First time a sports show's ever done that. The ratings we got in Louisville last time are insane. And he doesn't put that in there. Instead, the positive things he says, he always goes, Jones claims that that's the biggest blog. Jones claims. Well, I'm not claiming. It's verifiable. And if you want verifiable stuff, put the radio ratings in there. And he didn't do that. But again, it's his story, not mine. In general, I thought it was a fair shake. Your quotes were very nice. Drew's quotes, Vanetti's quotes were very nice. It was interesting to me that nobody would go on record, so that they would criticize, but then nobody would go on record. That's, for lack of a better term, chicken blank. If you got something to say it. You know, if you're going to say it anonymously, that's a wimpy thing to do. If you're going to say something about somebody, say it on the record, and then let the chips fall where they may. That I found interesting and not surprising in the least. Critics chirp behind your back, but then won't say something in public.
Well, you know, we've talked about this. What's that old saying in advertising where they talk good about you or talk bad about you as long as they're talking about you?
I agree, but put your name on it.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That's a wimpy thing to do. Clearly, people said stuff to him, and they wouldn't say it on the record. Yeah. That's wimpy. If you've got something to say it. Don't chirp and then go, but don't attribute that to me. You know, so I'll talk about anything. There was one thing in there I couldn't talk about because it's, you know, pending, and you got lawyers who say don't speak.
Don't say a word.
Don't speak. But besides that, you want to know what I think about somebody, I'll say it. And that part sort of annoying. But with all that said, very cool to be in the newspaper. That was one of all the things I take away. I will give newspapers this. This is still a cool thing
to pick it up and physically see.
You're exactly right. That doesn't happen on the Internet. The Internet is still words typed. There's something cool about being able to hold it, you know, right next to the story about how there are flowers on Christmas Day. Like, you know, that's cool. And number two, they could have destroyed me, not because I did anything wrong, but just because you can spin things however you want. Yeah. And he didn't. I think he gave me a fair shot, and so I do appreciate it.
You're right about, you know, I read it online the first time I saw it, and then when you see it in the paper, you open up the page, and that entire page, then you realize the enormity of the article and what all the effort and the work. I mean, Tom Evelyn put a lot of work into it.
He did. And he put a lot of work into my background, et cetera.
Yep.
So, listen, I give them credit for that. And I also want to say many of you, literally hundreds of you, wrote me in some form to say something about the article, congratulated or whatever. That's so nice. I mean, I had people writing me who don't even really follow what we do, just people I went to high school with, or college with, and they just opened the newspaper like, I think I know that guy. That stuff was neat. And so yesterday was a very cool day, and I appreciate the Tom Evelyn for doing that. And, you know, the Herald Leader got the hits from it. It was the top story on there. They got their Facebook comments, and I had people writing me really poorly spelled angry comments about stuff, but it was still cool. 502-571-1080, 877-904 today. The Cats won. I thought played well the last 20 minutes. We'll talk about that. Matt Elam is at 10:30. I'm excited to see what he has to say on this Christmas edition of Kentucky Sports Radio. We'll take a break. Be right back.
To talk to Matt Jones, call the Fan Outfitter Sports Line at 571-1080 or 1-877-904-1080.
Now back to Kentucky Sports Radio on Talk Radio 1080.
Welcome back Kentucky Sports Radio, my favorite song. 502-571-1080, 877-904-1080, at KY Sports Radio on Twitter. The show thread off to a slow start. I knew it would be today because people are not at their desks. But if you're at home or at your office, write in. You got a chance. I will be reading more of that stuff today because I don't have my book, so I've run out of things to talk about. Nick Fulkerson says, the worst part of the article is I still don't know what Patterson and Lucas are going to do. They should have mentioned Patterson and Lucas.
You're right.
That, to me, Patterson and Lucas, that's a big part of the whole thing. Patterson and Lucas. If you were around back then. Class of 68 says, how about when you talk about Howie Lindsey's belly? Is that not vulgar? I don't think saying someone has a belly is vulgar. Now, that's probably personal, but is that vulgar to say that someone has a belly?
See, I think vulgar has a different meaning.
I do, too. And I don't think you can just throw vulgar around. Vulgar is like something bad.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I've ever... Now, to be fair, that probably is personal, and maybe I shouldn't say it. I'd say Kyle Tucker's hair, but that's because I like his. I wish I had his hair.
I had Kyle Tucker's
I would
hair.
Trade my terrible hair for his hair
any day.
Any day of the week. Shannon, who's up first?
Up first is Mike.
Mike, what's up, Mike?
Hey, man, I want to appreciate the tickets that you had Ryan give me Saturday at the game.
Oh, yeah, Mike, you called in last week, and so you got to take your wife to the first game, the first time you all have been in Rupp Arena. How was it?
Well, for me, it was great, but for her, it was very just comfortable, terrifying experience because it was all the way up in the rafters. And with her condition of cancer, she never made it up the steps. We had a young gentleman helped her all the way up there, helped her down. But like I said, I appreciate the game. I mean, the tickets and stuff. But she got. Once she got up there to sit down, she wouldn't move. I mean, she was afraid she was going to fall. And I thought I'd call to tell you because you told me to call you when I went.
Well, I'm sorry that she was afraid to fall. I hope you had a good time at the game, though, sir.
All right. Thank you, Matt.
Thursday Mike. There you go. 502-571-1080, 877-904-1080. Merry Christmas. Who's next?
By the way, the Thursday remote, I got the address on that. It's 4146 Summit Plaza Drive.
So it is at the Summit.
Yeah.
It's the one at the Summit. Okay. There you go.
Up next is James.
James, what's up, James?
Hey, what's up, guys? I'd like to start Louisville Hate Week off by giving a shout-out to my Uncle David Kwok, who's the reason for my UK fandom. I remember my first game that I went to was at Freedom Hall when UK had a big lead. It was around 1990. U of L came back and won, and we were parked on the outer circle of the fairgrounds, and people were throwing stuff at us and cussing at us, and I was like 8 or 9 years old. It just boiled me up.
So you just started hating them from then on?
You got it.
Well, let me just tell you, everybody, I don't think my Louisville hate is at all in question. But I'm holding off on it till after Christmas because we got 2 days, Christmas spirit. Kentucky played Belmont, but Thursday and Friday next week I will ramp up the U of L stuff. But just today I'm going to still be Christmassy.
Yeah, well, I'll give you some more. But, hey, speaking of leaving things out, I watched the Bluegrass Kingdom Gospel of Kentucky Basketball on the NBA Network the other night, and it was so odd that, they talked about Adolph Rupp, they talked about him being racist and all that stuff, and then they went into the Rick Pitino era, and then they skipped the Tubby Smith era.
Yeah, I've heard. Listen, I haven't seen that, and I appreciate the call, James. I haven't seen that documentary. I've heard about it. The people that did that, I'm sure part of it was editing. They skipped the Tubby Smith era. I haven't seen it, so I don't know anything about it, Ryan, but I've heard that complaint before.
You can understand if they skipped the Eddie Sutton era, the Billy Gillispie era.
I would skip that one, too.
But how can you skip the Tubby era?
Yeah, I don't think that's fair. I mean, look, you know my theory about UK coaches. Great, good, drunk. All right? So you got great Adolph, good Joe B, drunk Eddie. You've got great Rick, good Tubby, drunk Billy. We're at great Cal. We're going to get a good coach next, and then we're going to have a drunk. That's just the way it goes, and that's just how it rolls. But you've got to put the greats and the goods in there, right? I mean, Adolph, Rick, and Cal are going to be legends. Joe B and Tubby are awesome coaches and great people, and then you got the drunk guys, and you just have to – that's how it should be portrayed in my view.
And for Tubby to, he deserves his moment in time. Enough time to pass. Let's get over.
He's going to do it, though. They're going to bring him here. I don't know when it's going to happen, but they're going to bring him here, and they're going to retire his jersey, and that's going to be an awesome day. It was awesome at Commonwealth Stadium when they gave him that ovation.
That was the biggest crowd of the day. I mean, the applause of the day.
Yeah, that was a great thing. Who's next?
Let's get the Truth.
Truth, how are you, Truth?
Oh, Matt Jones, how you doing?
Good. What's up, sir?
I'll tell you what, Trey Lyle, he played pretty good. He's hurt, and he's going to remember the truth. But, Matt Jones, I met a lot of your friends from KSR. We need to get you to Henderson, Kentucky.
Oh, I would love to be there. I'd love to be everywhere. Right now, I'm right here.
Matt Jones, I'm going to talk to some people. They know who the truth is. They took pictures with me. We're going to set up a location. We're going to go to Henderson Radio Station and KSR. All the people in Henderson, Kentucky want to see Matt Jones and the truth in the Bay. We're going to Henderson Radio Station, and, man, the KSR will be on the radio. All
right, Truth. I'm excited about it. Hey, I want you to have a Merry Christmas, okay?
I'm going to do that because I'm going to see James Blackman and Trey Lyle play tonight.
Well, good. Well, have fun.
All right.
Go ahead.
You stay out of trouble, and I'm gonna make my choice Thursday on your show. I'm gonna go for Kentucky or Louisville.
You're picking Kentucky. If you're not, we'll hang up on you. I appreciate it, Truth. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Merry Christmas to you. Trey Lyles, we talked a little bit about last week. I enjoyed watching him play. Different kind of player. Not the most athletic kid in the world, but a great passer. He's going to be good here.
Seems like he's the game we saw on TV just a little awkward. That's about the best. He just seemed a little
like you.
Yes.
No, I think he's better than you.
Well, I could dunk on him, but he's
what?
He's a lot bigger than me. That's the only thing he's got on me.
When we return, Matt Elam will join us. 502-571-1080. The biggest recruit, literally and figuratively, in a long time for Kentucky football. He'll join us when we return. This is Kentucky Sports Radio.
Thanks for listening to Kentucky Sports Radio on Talk Radio 1080.
Welcome back, Kentucky Sports Radio, 502-571-1080, 877-904-1080. Michael on the show thread says KSR was mentioned at Southland Christian Church on Saturday evening and Sunday morning. Just wanted you to know it was in a positive manner and that he incorporated KSR into his sermon. I heard that from a couple different people, that I guess the preacher out there or whoever was speaking listens, and that was very nice. I'd like to have heard it.
The largest congregation in this town, maybe in the state, so that's kind of nice to hear that.
Chester says, what's your beef with Cameron Mills? He hit the shot heard round the bluegrass. Do you have a problem with him? Why would anybody say that? I have no problem with Cameron Mills.
Not mentioned Cameron Mills.
I like him. Where's Cameron Mills coming up? Have we even mentioned Cameron Mills? No, I don't think so.
No.
I like him.
He's got his own radio show now
on this station on Saturday mornings. At KY Sports Radio on the show thread, now joining us on the phone. You talk about a recruit that's in the news all the time. Matt Elam is here. Matt, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
Good. It's Christmas break. How are you spending your Christmas break? I know you're glad to not be in school. When I was in high school, I looked forward to this more than anything. What are you doing?
I'm just chilling, just trying to spend time with my family right now, so just enjoying the break.
Well, I know you've got the break and then making your decision January 4th. Talk to me a little bit. Why'd you decide to make the decision on January 4th, and are you excited to get the process kind of over with?
I decided that day just because I always wanted to decide on the Army All-American game, and it gave me some time just to think things through because I never wanted to be a kid that committed and decommitted from the school just because something changed my mind about it. So it gave me enough time to get my thoughts cleared on everything. So I think it was a perfect time for me. And I'm kind of glad to get it over with, but then again, I kind of like the experience because when in your life you just choose something that you just want and you could just have that just in your favor. So it's very enjoying right now. So I'm just enjoying the whole process. So.
Yeah, having never been recruited for anything, I wouldn't understand that, but it would seem to me to be fun. Now, you've narrowed your list to 2 schools. You dropped Notre Dame, and now it looks like it's Kentucky or Alabama. Talk to me about what it is you like about each school and how those 2 became your final 2.
Alabama, there's not really much you can say about them. Just get to play for national championship and just the whole program as a whole. it's very great down there, and I like it down there, and the coaching staff I'm very comfortable with, and my mom likes it, so it's very high on my list. And in Kentucky, I love Kentucky. I'm from here, and I love Coach Stoops, and what we have with the commits up there, it's just something special up there. I never saw it before, and I'm very comfortable with all of them, with Drew and everybody, so I enjoyed that with them because that's something you don't really see a lot, so.
Yeah, talk to me about that. I mean, we hear about these commits that are with Kentucky being close and all that, but you're in it. You're right there. What is happening with this recruiting class and the commitments, and are they reaching out to you? Tell me how it works.
I don't really know how it happened, but I feel like we're already a team now. But because on our official, I was the only person who wasn't committed there, and nobody bugged me or just was on me the whole time about Matthew commit, because they all knew when I was going to choose and everything. So it was a nice weekend, and just everybody just knows, and everybody feel comfortable that I'm going to come to UK. So I appreciate them just letting me just do me and everything. So it's very cool.
You mentioned Drew Barker. What kind of relationship do you have with him? He sort of has seemed to be the leader of this recruiting class. What's he been like?
Drew, that's my boy. I feel like they should put him on the payroll, but I'm very comfortable with Drew, and we made a good relationship, so it's good.
Well, tell me about Coach Stoops and Coach Saban. What the two head coaches there? What are they like? I mean, how do you compare those two guys?
Coach Stoops, I feel like I can have a more personal relationship with him because I just feel like he's more down to earth. And Coach Saban, I feel like he's just like a principal to me, just more business-like and just more down to things. So it's kind of two different personalities, but they both get the job done. So I like them both.
And is that kind of how you're making the decision? I mean, I've heard you use that phrase a lot. You talk about how maybe Alabama more business-like, Kentucky more personal, friendship sort of like. Is that kind of how the decision you're trying to make is to see which one of those you'd rather do?
Not really, because I feel like I have a good relationship with both coaches. I just feel right now just more comfortable at UK. But then again, I haven't won on my official to Alabama yet. I don't even know if I'm going to take one there. So it's just a hard choice because I'm very comfortable with both colleges, and both of the coaching staffs are very comfortable, and I just feel very close to both of them. So it's a hard decision. So.
Last question for you. In terms of fans, I mean, in today's world, it's so different than even 5 years ago because fans can write you on Twitter, and you can sort of feel that. What's it been like? I mean, you've got two huge fan bases, probably both of which really want you. What has the fan part of that been like?
It's crazy. The UK fan base is just phenomenal, and they just show love on Twitter. And just whenever I go down to Lexington, even here, people just always coming up to me, Matt Elam, please go to UK, change your program, be a hero. And when I go down to Alabama, it's the same thing. And I'm just like, how do these people know me? Why do they want me so bad? And my mom, she just laughs every time. She's like, you're not nothing. You're not good. And I'm like, yeah, all right. So it's just funny just to see all this, just being a kid and getting all this exposure. So it's fun.
Well, good. Well, I'm happy for you. Good luck with your decision. January 4th will be a great day for you either way, and we appreciate you taking the time to come on.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. There's Matt Elam from Hardin County. Nice, very nice young man.
I'd say there's two things in there I picked up on. The first time he started talking about Kentucky, he said we.
He did.
He did say we. And the second thing, he's not going to maybe take his official visit to Alabama. Seems odd. If that's the school you're leaning towards, you'd want to go down there.
But to be fair, you don't know anything.
I don't know diddly squaw.
I mean, to be fair, you might as well just be whatever. But I would say, let me put it like this. If you're a Kentucky fan trying to read the tea leaves,
yes.
I don't think there's anything in there that would make you negative about the decision.
True.
Is that fair to say?
Very fair, yeah.
I certainly, I mean, you know, I've learned over the years with recruiting I sound like with truth. With recruit interviews, you got to be careful reading a ton into it either way, but regardless, I don't think you could see anything negative about what you just heard from Mr. Elam.
And nothing you take negative. Anything he's done or said in the past month has not led me to believe even a little bit that Kentucky.
Well, I told you, I think they're going to get him.
I do too.
But we shall see. Thank him very much for doing that. Very nice kid. And you see that about a lot of these guys. I mean, a lot of these guys, we've interviewed some. They seem like really, really nice kids in addition to being
and you think about it, they already got Jason Hatcher at tackle, Jacob Hyde. They bring in Matt Elam, but you got 3 stud young defensive tackles.
All from Kentucky.
Good point.
All from Kentucky, which Kentucky doesn't usually produce those players at that position very much. 502-571-1080, 877-904-1080, at KY Sports Radio on Twitter. We'll take a quick break and be right back.
To talk to Matt Jones, call the Fan Outfitter Sports Line at 571-1080 or 1-877-904-1080.
You're listening to Kentucky Sports Radio on Talk Radio 1080.
Welcome back, Kentucky Sports Radio, 502-571-1080, 877-904-1080, at KY Sports Radio in the show thread. If you were on Twitter, you just saw Drew Barker tweeting that he was listening to Matt Elam there. Probably heard good news. My mom sent a text, though, that makes a good point. It sounds all really positive for Kentucky, but there was a pro-Alabama thing. Did you catch what the pro-Alabama thing was? He said his mom really liked Alabama. Now, what have I said for years about recruits?
Yep.
If you're when in doubt, follow mama. I've said that for years because that moms have an impact. Yeah. Patrick Patterson was at Kentucky because of his mama.
Tawana Patterson.
Had it been up for him, I think he'd have been at Florida. But mama made a difference.
He did say that.
So he did say that. Now, I still think in the grand scheme of things, the positive stuff he said about Kentucky would outweigh that one comment. But I do think, my mom, being a mom, pointed that out. I do think that's a fair thing to point out. He did say something about mom likes Alabama.
And he did say mom was talking a little smack trash to him. So maybe mom does have a little something there to...
Just something to point out. I'm not saying that's a big thing, but just something to point out. 502-571-1080, 877-904-1080. Shannon, who's next?
Let's go to Kenny.
Kenny, how are you, Kenny?
I don't think Kenny's there, so let's try.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
This has been bothering me since Kenny's not there. I need to say something.
Well, say it.
But you're going to get mad at me.
I probably will get mad at you, but it's Christmas. I'll tell you what. Remember, I'm working towards my new January 1st thing, so maybe I won't.
It's been the first guy that called, Mike, who called about the tickets. This has really been eating at me because I want everybody else to know about these tickets. Mike called in last week to try to get tickets for the game. Tried to win the contest. You'd already given them away, and he said, my wife's got cancer. She's never been. I want to take her. And you said on the air, Mike, don't worry about it. We're going to take you to the game. We're going to get tickets for you to go to the game. That's the guy that called in just a minute ago. So you tried to get tickets. The guy on the corner tickets were already sold out. I mean, this game was a sellout. There were no tickets out there for you to get. So Matt Jones went and bought these 2 tickets for Mike and his wife. Bought them out of his own pocket, so he could take his wife to the game. I met him, gave him the tickets, and he had tears in his eyes. When I told him the story that you had bought these tickets for him and his wife to go, he literally got tears in his eyes. And I'm telling you, it bummed me out for him to call back today.
I don't know that. I don't think he meant
I'm not mad at him, but it just kind of bummed me out. You went out of your way to buy tickets for this guy. There were no tickets left. You're not going to get low arena seats when there aren't any left.
I don't think he meant. I don't think he meant it the way that kind of came off. So let's give him a break. I mean, look, he got to go, and I hope they had fun. And look, you can be at the top there, and it can be nerve wracking. I'm sure we know.
I wish they would have just enjoyed being there, being a part of it.
I mean, look, it's Christmas. 502-571-1080, 877-904-1080. Who's next, Shannon?
Johnny Short.
Johnny Short, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, thank you. We won and we lost this weekend.
Yeah. Well, that's true. John always up there. In case people don't know what happened in the games, John will tell you at the start, we beat Belmont, we lost to Duke.
I know, because I think manners, and Duke has taller players than we do. They're like Connecticut players.
Yeah, well, that's true. Ryan has said for a while, big butt, tall players. But Kentucky's added a couple,
yes,
but they weren't able to get it done yesterday in front of a raucous crowd at Rupp Arena.
I think every player needs to be 6'7", 6'8" for Kentucky.
Yeah, I don't think there are that many 6'7" or 6'8" women in Kentucky.
That would be incredible, but we're going to win. All right, the Louisville game won't be a blowout. We're going to win by 5 biggins, but the Grambling State game will be a blowout. We'll win by 50 biggins.
I hope you're right. John, have a Merry Christmas. Will you do that for me?
Yes, have a Merry Christmas and Happy 2014.
You too. Thank you very much. The poor John Short spread. I mean, I thought he had it. Cats are up 14. Willie Cauley-Stein gets the ball. He has a wide open layup, Ryan.
Yes.
I mean, with like 30 seconds left, it could not have been more open. Only shot my man missed the entire day. And then he missed the shot at the end of the first half. So he missed 2 shots the entire day. And he misses that one. And then they come down. They end up winning by 13. It was a 15-point Biggins spread. It's just like the Lord does not want Biggins.
Well, there's 22 seconds left. They got the and one to hit a free throw. So now we missed the free throw. Willie got the rebound and missed a wide-open layup that could have maybe covered the spread.
We haven't talked a lot about the game. The first 15 minutes was not positive defensively. Offensively, they were still getting good shots. They just missed them.
Weren't hitting.
But defensively, it was not positive early. But they did better in the second half, and I thought the last 25 minutes, the last 5 minutes of the first half, and then the second half, Kentucky played extremely well. They beat Belmont during that period by 24 points. I thought they played extremely well. You got to give a shout-out, first of all. Julius Randle had a huge game. He was a beast. A beast. And he could have even been more of a beast if he got the ball more. He was a beast. He should have touched the ball on every play.
Absolutely.
Every play, because he was that good. Secondly, Aaron Harrison, in my opinion, is becoming the most consistent player on the team.
Yes.
I mean, he really is. And I was told that at halftime, he was the guy leading the troops. Doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, he is becoming the guy. You got to give a shout-out to Dominique Hawkins and Jared Polson.
No question.
Dominique Hawkins hustled his tail off the entire game, got a ton of loose balls. He was excellent the entire game, played a lot. And Jared Polson, when Kentucky went down 11, I'm standing behind the bench doing my little reporting gig. I see Cal go, Jared, go get him. Jared goes in, hits a 3. That 3 was huge.
Yes, it was.
That stopped some momentum. That was a huge 3 Jared hit. And then he played the rest of the first half. He handled the team well. Second half, he played spot minutes, but did fine. He was a very important factor in that game. Now, do I think he should do that every game? There are going to be some games he can't guard people. I don't think he can guard anybody on Louisville, for instance. But in games like that, where there are guys he can sort of, stay in front of as much as possible, he was a huge addition. So a big shout out to both those guys and to Alex Poitras and Willie Cauley-Stein. Besides Andrew Harrison and James Young, the whole team, I thought, played excellent. And Andrew was in foul trouble. Really, only James kind of laid an egg for the game. But I thought that those guys all played well.
If you got to depend on Polson to beat Louisville, you're in trouble.
But to beat Belmont, listen, you lose that Belmont game, season's over. All right, so here's what I'll say about I'm going to take up for Jared on this all year. You lose that Belmont game, season's over. Down 11, there's some people going, we might lose this game. Some of those people, including me. And Jared stopped the Tide to lose that game.
He did.
That's a season-saving win. It is. You lose that game, I think the wheels come off, in my opinion.
He kind of, when he came in, and maybe it's because he's the senior, they just kind of settled down a little bit and seemed, like you said, the shot was big.
The shot was huge. That 3
came at the right time.
I'm a big believer that games can turn on one play. The momentum and all that. When Jared hit that shot, the crowd went nuts.
You're right.
All of a sudden, there was a ton of energy in that place the last 5 minutes of the first half, and he started that. And a huge kudos to the crowd. That's the best Rupp crowd. Last year, Missouri was probably a better crowd, but it was Missouri and it was game day. This is Belmont and a great crowd. The Christmas ticket crowd, no offense to the everyday crowd, but I wouldn't mind replacing them with the Christmas ticket crowd every year because that was an excellent crowd.
And Dominique, like you said, he's a water bug, man. He's all over the place. Instant energy when he comes in. Those two guys deserve as much credit for Julius Randle for winning that basketball game Saturday.
Who's next?
Let's go to David.
David, how are you, David?
Hey, Matt, Merry Christmas to you and your guys and safe travels home. And y'all, I think, have hit on a key for the entire season. I think when you look back at the end of the year, the entire season pivoted on Polson going in the game and making that shot.
Well, let's be a little calm, okay? I mean, I'm not going to say the entire season, but he was a huge part of that game. And had they lost that game, I do think they'd be in trouble. So I will say it was very important. I'm not going to downplay that.
Yeah, and I mean in the context of that game, because we lose that game, we lose the number 1 spot possibly, and then the SEC.
We lose that game for the first time, my man. You can start talking about is this team going to struggle to make the tournament? I mean, I've never really entertained that thought because I think they're going to be fine. But if you lose that game and then potentially lose Louisville and you have 5 non-conference losses, all of a sudden, whoa.
Absolutely. And it was a great victory. They had their typical first 5-10 minutes of the game, but then, I really expect that's a youth thing, and they'll finally work out as they go through the not tough schedule SEC, but, it is the SEC.
It is the SEC, and you look at the schedule, there's some road games you could lose, and no, without question, you're right.
Yeah, and one other thing, I know you're going to wait till Thursday, but in the Brady Bunch of state basketball, Louisville is and always will be Jan Brady.
All right, I appreciate it. I appreciate the call. That would be good sometime. Maybe we could do the teams for each of the Bradys. Who would be the maids, the butcher?
Alice and Sam.
Yes. Sam the butcher. That's right. Who are they? You have so you got Craig, Peter, Bobby. You got Jan, Marcia, Cindy.
Yes.
You got, what's the parents' people's name?
Mike and Carol.
You had Oliver come on.
Oliver late in the show.
Nobody liked Oliver. You had Sam the Butcher and Alice.
Right.
Were there any other recurring characters of any significance? Were there any Newmans or Putties on that show? I can't really think of any.
I think that's pretty much it.
No, they'd have people who did one-time shots, like Joe Namath came on one time.
Yeah.
But I don't think they had people who would sort of consistently show up. They had to throw Sam in there. Wasn't there an episode where they got locked in Sam the Butcher's freezer?
I believe they did, yes.
That was an episode I remember. What was your favorite Brady Bunch episode? Was it Marcia or Jan who got hit in the nose?
Marcia got hit in the nose.
With the football, yeah.
My favorite one, though, is when they had the singing group and Peter's voice
When
cracked.
It's time to change.
Yes, that's the best one.
You got to find that. I'd like to hear that, Shannon. They always, sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, sha-na-na-na-na. Yeah, exactly. And then they went to Hawaii.
Yes, they did.
They had the tarantula.
Oh, yes.
And the things kept happening to Greg. Because he had the conch whatever on or it wasn't a conch, but it was a little necklace. And he struggled surfing, and the one thing tried to fall on their head.
Yes.
And these were all very important moments.
You're bringing up great childhood memories right now.
That's a good question. At KY Sports Radio or the show there, what was your favorite Brady Bunch episode? Because it's a sports show.
Remember the one they built the House of Cards?
I do, yes.
Tiger the dog knocked it over?
I do. By the way, my Bears, 54-11.
I saw that last night.
Come on. See, that was a game. You win that game, you're in the playoffs. And they choked. Choking dogs. Who's next?
Neil.
What's up, Neil?
Hey, how you doing from Owensboro, Kentucky? How are we doing?
How are you, Neil?
I'm good. Let me start off by saying, first of all, my best Brady moment ever was when Greg got to go downstairs and make his room downstairs and turn it into this big 70s love palace.
Oh, I do remember that. See, that Greg went to the basement, which, by the way, I did in high school. I moved to the basement, too, because you got to have a chance to sort of showcase yourself in the basement. I remember that, yes.
Yeah, he got to kind of branch his wings, go out on his own.
Yeah, because he had to share his room with his brothers. It was time for Greg to get his own room.
It was. But let me first off saying me and my wife are September from Owensboro, super pumped. We're getting to go to the Georgia game, and we will be happy to sit up against the wall on the top of the stadium. As long as we're in the building, everything is great. I just want to go ahead and say that out loud.
Appreciate it.
My question is, and I think you're a super person for doing that, by the way. Super person, hope his wife gets well. My question is, Alex Poythress. Am I the only one in the Bluegrass that feels like he's kind of checked out this year?
I don't. I think he played really well Saturday. Did you not think he played well?
This Saturday, yes. As a season as a whole, him and Cauley Stein being the returners, I was expecting to not have to look to a freshman for leadership. I was expecting to look to Alex.
Well, Alex isn't really a leader type. He's really quiet. But listen, I appreciate your call. We got to go to break. But I would say this about Alex. His role is now a sixth man. And he's accepting that role. And for a guy that at one point was projected as the number one pick in the draft to accept his role as a sixth man, I think he deserves credit for that, not scorn. That's just my opinion. 502-571-1080 at KY Sports Radio. Send us your favorite Brady Bunch episode or the show thread, because why not? We got to have something to go with. When we come back, more UK basketball and the weirdest story I've heard in weeks. We'll be right back.
With a Chinese menu in his hand.